I'm Mark, and this is Prince, and we're going to tag team this a bit. Okay. So first of all, we have some AT&T folks, I think, in the crowd. Can you all stand up and just say hi, everybody? So it's the AT&T Bangalore. Got a good showing here. Thanks you all for coming. Okay. So we're going to tag team this, and the theme, I think, as you see, we have a common theme with H2O and Shri about democratizing AI. Now, one thing that I really never thought about is it's actually doing it together. There's a big benefit there. You think of democratization, you almost think of, I want to do it myself, but when you do it together, you actually make everybody better, okay? So we want to give some example of that today. Now, before I go into this, Andy talked a little about this, Shri talked a little about this. AT&T has had a long history in AI, right? So 1950, the first programming a computer to play chess. It wasn't Big Blue. We actually had it first there. 1955, we actually, along with IBM, we coined the term artificial intelligence, 1955. We're all familiar with Unix, C, C++, S, which became R in the 1970s. And then the first neural networks, Jan LeCun at Bell Labs did it in the 1980s and 90s. And then in the 2000s, AT&T won the Netflix prize, $1 million hackathon for data science, if you remember that. As of 2020, I think that's the last one out, we were number 6 in AI patents. And at AT&T, we have over 500, I think it's around 560, machine learning algorithms in production, okay, at AT&T. One more thing that you'll see today, and Prince is going to talk about it, is that we're co-creating a feature store. So if you haven't heard about this, you really want to get this. This is what makes it better together in creating AI, okay? All right, so what do we mean by democratizing data and AI? So when we think about it, it's really 3 things: empowering more people to do data and AI, better and faster to create value for the customer, okay? And at AT&T, in the Chief Data Office, we have about 800 data science and developers that work all across the company, okay? Whether it's fraud, whether it's network, whether it's sales, marketing, kind of all across the company there. Now, here's how we think about the life cycle of data and AI, okay? And you think of this as a circle, right? And it kind of comes back where you're starting again. So it starts off with finding and getting data, okay? And then you engineer the data, you create amazing features to predict something. And then you create AI, you deploy it and serve it, you monitor and govern it. And if you think about this, depending on who you talk to, a lot of that upfront time is in that first piece, okay? 60 to 80% of the time is in, where is this data at? Who has this data? Where can I find this? Okay, and then you have to clean it, you have to kind of do that. So we see a lot of things, we're putting a lot of effort there, and this is where generative AI actually helps, okay? So it's not only searching for it, it's kind of tell me the answer, tell me everything about it, make a chat session about it, okay? So we're doing a lot of that particular area there. Now, in those regards, a feature store, and Prince is going to talk about this, I love the word store for 2 reasons. It's a store for storing something. I'm putting my amazing features there. It's also a store for shopping, okay? I go to the store and say, oh, that group had this feature. I can use that to help my predictive churn model. I can help to my predictive fraud model. And you borrow it. You go to the store, you check it out, and you try it so fast, okay? Now, wouldn't it be cool if you could combine that with generative AI? And what do I mean by that, okay? So we mean kind of doing this, okay? So you want to search for something. Where is this data? Remember, finding data is a hard problem. Where is this data? That's the Google type thing. I get a list. Here's all the top feature sets. But you really want to kind of ask a question, okay? That's generative AI, so that's asking a question. Tell me the top feature sets for churn, okay, that are for wireless churn, for postpaid customers, and just give me that, that a given group has already worked upon, Okay? So putting these together, this is where a better together technology comes together, both the search piece, the extractive piece, and the generative AI piece. So let's look at how this might look in the feature store. Okay. All right, so here we're just typing a question. What data set names do you know about subscribers? Okay, so this is actually hitting the feature store. It says, tell me the data sets, okay? Now, just for purposes of a demo, I just put one in there. Okay, so there's this data feature set called Dabbler, Orion type thing. And then let's just do, show me the number of entries per month for this data set, okay? Now, here's the key piece, okay? It takes the English, it translates it to a query, sends it off to the feature store, and comes back, and it gives you the answer there, okay? So let's try something else here. I want to try the Shri method with a real demo, okay? So many of you might be familiar with the Titanic data set. Has anybody kind of started off with the Titanic data set? Who survived? Can you predict survivors on the Titanic? Okay. So here's the data set we all know and love. Okay. Passenger, who survived, what class were they in, first class, second class, third class, name, sex, etc. Okay. And the goal was to predict survivors. Okay. So we loaded this up in the feature store. We did some simple stuff. What percent of customers survived in this data set? Okay. So 61% didn't survive. 38% did survive, okay? And then you get a little bit more difficult. Show the number in percentages. Okay, so now you see the number. This is in the training set. And I'm just getting more complicated, right? Show the number and percentage of customers survived, not survived by sex in this data set, okay? So now I have female and male. Females had a lot better chance of survival. They put them in the boats, probably, okay? But notice that I'm getting more and more complex as we go down here. And this one here, show the number and percentage of customers survived and not survived by class, by sex in this data set, and sort it by class and then by sex, okay? Let's take this. Let's just try something here. See if this works. Okay, so instead of by sex, let's do by age. Now let's see, does it even know? Can I do in buckets of 10? Okay. See if it can do that. All right, there you go, okay? So here we see, you know, we grouped them 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 80 plus. There's an 80-year-old female that survived, okay? Isn't that cool? Look at that query. Could you write that query that fast as the way we did that, right? And we did it all just with a statement. Isn't that amazing? All right. So let's go back, and I'm going to hand it to Prince here. Let's talk more about the feature store itself. Okay. All right, go ahead, Prince.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk about, the feature store. Why? Like Mark said, 60 to 80% of the time, data scientists spend on engineering the features, right? And then we heard about from Sri, then we talked, Andy and Andrew, everybody talks about the democratization of an AI, right? So you don't want this is isolated and stored in your own machines or somewhere in the servers. We want all those features to be available in one place where actually you can share those features and really democratize across different BUs in an organization or even across the organization. So that's the, the important use of the feature store. So just to give you an illustration here, you see things are siloed in development in departments, and actually when you do the data science training, if I want to go and look for a new features, there is no way that I can look in today, right? All I need to do is reinvent the wheel. I have to go back and create those same features. But what if Mars has those cool features and he published in feature store? I'm going to shop around those features in the store, right? So I'm not going to rewrite everything. The help of the Gen AI, even it makes much more easier. I can just go and type it out in a simple English, and it's going to show me the query. And it's not only showing me in the query, and also it's talking about which feature set and what features are there, right? So very simple when you have the feature store in that fashion, and it's also going to help you in online and offline standpoint. When I talk about the offline, you can use the H2O and AT&T feature store using a command line interfaces. You can actually query it. At the same time, if you want it in the form of an API for real-time scoring, which I'm going to talk about the use case of a fraud, because we need to score the transactions in milliseconds, okay? Millions of transactions per day in the scale of AT&T volume. We got to score everything in milliseconds, sometimes even less than 50 milliseconds we got to score. So the same feature store, the features are there in the offline. Now it is available as an API where we can access it very quickly. And similar fashion, you can see that the metadata, it's so important, the metadata, because like we talked about, these features are the machine learning assets. It's so important we maintain a good metadata about these features. So there are more than 50 meta points has been stored about each and every features that's also sitting in the same feature store. Now it is really available for us either during the training time or the inference and scoring time. This is one of the another beauty about the H2O and AT&T feature store. Because the enterprises, if you look at it, medium and large enterprises, there are multiple data pipelines are happening in the company, right? Somebody would use Databricks, somebody would use Snowflake, somebody would use plain old Jupyter pipeline. We use H2O driverless AI pipeline. It could be any pipeline in the company, but I no need to be there in the same pipeline if I want to consume the features if someone else created in some other pipeline. For an example, I created the features in Databricks pipeline, and I saw that it's valuable features, and I published into the feature store. Now I can be in the Snowflake pipeline where I can consume the same features. I no need to recompute, right? So we can just avoid all those things, duplicating the data, duplicating the features, or reinventing the wheel. It really gives a great productivity actually when you work across the multiple pipelines. And then it's also available for training and also for the scoring. And one classic example is you might created this training features in a Databricks pipeline, but maybe you are scoring it as a UDO function in the Snowflake, right? H2O provides the UDO function. You can use that feature store UDO function to actually score it in Snowflake. That's another. So it's very agnostic to any technology or any stack that you have. All you care about is the real assets value of features and the machine learning. So I'll tell you, this is one of the great example. Mark actually did that in just a couple of hours. So we were, small story here. We were just sitting with Mark in a meeting, and he was going through our machine learning models. So he's our VP of data science. He was reviewing all those things. We saw that we gave one model. Actually, it's kind of a customer churn model. We had a 66% accuracy of the model, right? And then Mark is like, he challenged us. Let's go into the feature store and shop around and see. There might be some features. And it's all happening in just 2 hours. We went and looked into the feature store. We looked at some of the features which is related to the account activity of our customers. We added them, boom, we got 77% in accuracy. Just in a matter of 2 hours, we got 11% accuracy increase. Otherwise, just imagine, if you want to create that sort of an accuracy lift, you need to go and find those features and do the feature engineering and get into the feature store. So that's one of the greatest, achievement I would say using a feature store. And you see that, always the better together model, improvements is a great impact, right? In the same theme that Mark was talking about, better together, your features all together, it's really better, right? You see the features at 1, it's just highlighted in the blue color. That was the feature importance for predicting the churn when we had 66% lift. But if you look at the features at 2, the red ones are the new features that we shopped around in Feature Store. You can see the first feature set 1, it was almost contributing to the 90% or more than 90%. Now it's in the 4th spot. It's only contributing 25% in the second feature set. So that shows the value of really democratizing these features, keeping it in one place. So one data science created, other data scientists can consume it, okay? So with that, I will just give it to Mark to the next.
All right. So you will be better together if you share features in a feature store. I can't tell you how many times, once we put the feature store in place, how many times we've taken a model. Sometimes we've been working on a model for a year or 2, and we go to the feature store and we shop, and we improve it the next day between meetings. Okay, so it's an amazing thing to do the better together there. All right, so we're walking around this curve. We started with find data, get data, engineer data. Now let's talk about the models themselves. Now, the models themselves, you will be better together if you cooperate, okay, or you compete. So we put both of those words together. We call it co-opetitions, okay? So the way that we do this is much like Kaggle. We put out anything that's important that goes to production, goes into Pinnacle, into a co-opetition or a competition type thing. And we invite data scientists. Remember, we have a lot at AT&T. We invite them in. Okay, here it is. Here's what we're trying to predict. Here's the data set. Go after it, okay? And it's not unheard of that we'll have 70, 80 data scientists actually doing this type of thing. And the results are tremendous. Okay. So on average, we've done 266 use cases, 266 competitions since we've done this. We got about 3,000 users. Remember, it's not just the data science community. We got about 3,000 users that have signed up for this. They're not all competing, but a large number of them are. And we've done 5,811 submissions. Somebody's trying to compete. They're putting it on the leaderboard. So that's kind of what's happening there. Now, let me show you what this actually looks like, okay? So I'm going to show you a particular competition. So this is one that's predicting churn. The final result was 153% better, and it was an ensemble model. Ensemble, by definition, is combining, okay? Now, if we go down on the list, all of these is a leaderboard, okay? And this one here, you can't see it. That is a robot that did that one, okay? It's an AT&T robot, AutoML. And there's the driverless AI one. Driverless AI was 136% better. So out of the box versus the baseline model, whatever we started with, amazing improvement there. Now, somebody called this one baseline. It's not the real baseline. That one's 97% better. The real baseline is there. 113 slots down, that's where it started, okay? Now, we don't get everyone this good, but in terms of the improvement, but it's just an illustration. And we've not done a single competition where we didn't improve the baseline. Average improvement, 29%, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna hand it back to Prince. Let's go back to the feature store. So you've built the model, you've created it, now you wanna deploy it.
Thanks, Mark. So, like Mark mentioned, we are better together from the feature store standpoint, better together with APIs, right? The reason I'm saying that, these features can be available during the inference time. Remember I said, I want to score these models in milliseconds in real-time manner, right? So how do I do that? So H2O AT&T feature store, it's already integrated out of the box with an API functionality. So you publish the features into the feature store, immediately it's available as an API. All you need to do is just call the API with some sort of a primary key or a composite primary key. Let's say I'm just trying to score a customer, right? I can just use that customer number as an input, and I can do that. So let me try to show this a demo of it. So it's not only just API. You see that there is a chat bot, right? It comes in. So now I'm just getting in there, and I'm querying about a particular feature set, which is we use it internally to just understand the health of a customer, to understand the reputation about the customer. I'm just typing in, I'm going through some of my authentication authorization. Then it's asking, hey, how can I help you today? Feature store is asking, all right? And it could be anyone in the business user. So they are saying that, hey, I want to check the propensity to churn of a particular customer. Then it's a fake number we are typing in, here the customer. And the moment we provided that customer telephone number, model is scored from the feature store, and look at there, the score has come back, all right? So isn't it awesome in real time that's happening? You are not going anywhere else. You are in the same feature store. And now think about democratization, right? If your business user really want to just use this functionality, now this person want to understand the number reputation, he just type in here and immediately get the score. Because at the point in time, it's actually scoring the model and looking for the features in feature store and comes back with an answer, right? It shows the risk score associated with it. So that's the power of this feature store. It's always better together when you put your features and make it available during the inference time as an API. That makes life so much easier, not only for a developer or a data scientist, and also for a citizen data scientist or a citizen developer, whatever you call it from the business standpoint. And the next one that I want to talk about it, in the same circle, Mark talked about find and get data. Then we talked about the engineered data. Then we talked about the pinnacle, how great it was to get that sort of an accuracy of the model lift using a create AI. Then I talked about the serve AI. So now I'm going to the monitor and govern AI. So we do check in AT&T each and every machine learning models that we develop a bias check, right? Like Andy mentioned, we want to be building a responsible AI across all the 500 models that what we have in AT&T. So one more piece, if I just go a little stretch, monitoring those features and models that whatever you deploy in production, that's equally important than how you create those AI or commute those features in feature store. The reason is, data is the key, right? I mean, the data, but changes. It never, kind of a static value. So what if the upstream system, they changes the data value, but you derive the feature out of it and coming to the feature store and it's available for the runtime, and what if the data changed? You get the data drifting. The data drifting gives the model drifting. So there are always, we need to monitor those sort of elements that goes into the model, and so that we can also monitor how the model is performing it. So various aspects in AT&T, we just monitor those model, and we use the product called Watchtower. Again, it's kind of developed inside AT&T like Pinnacle, and you can see that we collect the data, features, the models, and we observe each and every time, and we correlate them. We look at the features importance, which model is getting impacted, all those sort of things. All the deep correlation happens. We create those decision functions. Then based on the the conditions, then we take a mitigation. Mitigation could be go and check the data, or it could be a mitigation, data scientists go and retrain your model. It could be anything, or maybe environment related, go and bounce the mission, right? It could be anything, but we take care of it through the Watchtower, and we monitor entire data and AI environments. And now I'm just going to talk about, I'm looking at the time, use case, right? Here the use case that I'm going to talk about is the fraud. Like anyone, any telecommunication company in the world, it's $1 billion problem for us, right? The fraudsters are coming up with a new scheme of things every day. It's almost like we have to build the AI. The good AI is fighting against the bad AI, right? So we got to do this as a daily job for us to protecting our customers. Remember, AT&T is we are really obsessed about the customers, so we got to protect them, right? From anything, robocalling or gaming the customer for, or social engineering for, whatever, we got to protect them. So how are we doing it? Okay, that's what putting all together to combat a fraud here. All the circles that we talked about, you can see them all in one slide here. Right from engineered data, you can see that we work across all our omni channels, either retail store or online or customer care. And then any form of transactions, right? At transactions, there are multiple things are happening. If you're buying a phone or adding a line or upgrading a line, it's not a simple API call, right? I mean, you all know that in enterprise, there is a multiple checks happen. So either it's a login or add to cart or checkout payment or a shipment, anything happens. Then we are creating those AI and then deploying them in the form of, there are more than 50 plus machine learning models available today to compacting the fraud in AT&T, right? I'm not going to call out each and every features that we use, but the point here is you can look at the technology stack above. If you are doing an engineering features, we are using a feature store, right? That we co-developed with H2O. And if you are creating any AI model, all those features are available in Pinnacle, and also the new features comes out of the driverless AI. We put them in the Pinnacle, and we look at it, how well this model is doing. If the model is really doing a good job, then we deploy it through the MLOps H2O.ai. Then we got them also to the serving layer through the feature store, like the way I explained to you, or given a demo of milliseconds sort of a response that we get it. And throughout this journey, we monitor through the watchtower. And this is the last slide. You can see that this fraud, we are showing you last 3 years of a journey that what we have done. Like any company, compacting the fraud or fraud detection and prevention, anything you talk about it, people always start with the rules. But what happens, yeah, did a good job if you think about it, but over the period of time, the rules get duplicated and it's overlapping and people forgot what rule they created, right? There are 5 rules fired for one conditions. All those challenges comes. So we started, the machine learning journey in the fraud. We just put up the 5 models for a given 1 year, and we significant, fraud stop, happens. Even though the fraud attempts are going high, but you look at the fraud event stopping, it gave a great results. That's motivated us. And AI or machine learning, it's not new to AT&T, as Mark shown you guys. So we went after it, right? So now today we have more than 50 machine learning models we have. Look at the way we are, compacting the fraud or stopping the fraud events. We don't control the phone price, right? And at the same time, we don't control the fraudsters, right? They are coming up with a new scheme of things every day, new pattern. They are trying to, fraud us. But we have to take care of our customers. The only way we can do it using, the previous slide that I talked about, using all those technologies together and compacting the fraud. That's what we are doing it in AT&T.
So let's wrap it up, okay? So here's the journey, okay? Instead of a circle, we have it kind of top to bottom here. And in every single piece of the journey, there's a better together story, okay? So in Find Data, we love putting the chat in front of it. So Find Data with the feature store and generative AI, we think that's huge. So that's a technology better together. Prince showed the example of going from weeks, sometimes months, to hours to improve. If you contribute to the feature store, you're sharing it, you get better together results there. Create AI, this is where we started. We did these hackathons. We almost had a hackathon per week. It was like a regular thing, okay? 28, 29% better is kind of on average what we see there. Definitely a better together. We love the AutoML that gets you out of the box. You need to beat the robot, right? We always do win because we always ensemble on top of it. And then deploy AI, that's serving APIs, better together there. And the last part, Prince didn't mention this, but the Watchtower watches more than AI. It watches everything around it too, okay? So it's better together when you think about the whole process, because many times we're a piece of the puzzle there, okay? So overall, we love the partnership with H2O. We think we're better together in terms of technology, and we thank you for helping us on this journey here.
One last thing, I just want to mention over here, like Andy mentioned here, we stationed here in Bangalore and Hyderabad, and we are hiring the best talent from the market, right? I know there is a lot of unicorns here from AT&T, and you guys are all the foundation to us, but we want more talent from the market. We want the best people from the market, and we are not only just looking at the professional data scientists. Look at the stack that I'm showing here: data engineers, full stack engineers, DevOps engineers, automation engineers, including the technical manager and the associate director. So we are looking for so many people here. So please reach out to me, and be part of the great journey in AT&T and Chief Data Office. Thank you.
I used to joke that where a prince goes, the kings are around the princes, right? So, and Mark is called the king of AT&T because data at AT&T. The prince coming to India is an incredible boon for the community in Bangalore, Chennai, and wherever he's able to spend time. So it's a privilege that wants to be together. And I think, Mark, I remember the first meetup we ever did in Texas, in Dallas, Plano, was in Mark's conference room in AT&T. And I think since 2014, 15, we've just learned so much from this partnership, and it has made us better, and of course, and hopefully, our customers together better together.
Better together.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks a lot.